I'm Esther Michael here with David Nolen of the Hope Center. Thanks for coming in today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So in a nutshell, what's the Hope Center?
Well, the Hope Center is an aftercare program for women coming out of human trafficking ages 18 to 30, and it's a year-long program.
Gotcha. So it's brand new, nonprofit in New Pal.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people really don't know how big of an issue human trafficking is, especially in the United States.
Sure.
So why are places like the Hope Center important?
Yeah, so I think the issue with human trafficking, especially here locally in the Midwest, is there's not very many aftercare centers, there's not very many residential centers really geared towards helping women coming out of human trafficking, and especially in the United States. A couple years ago I heard a lady, she owns her own nonprofit that works with women coming out of human trafficking, and she said, listen, in the United States there's less than like 700 beds for victims, that's it, coming directly out of human trafficking. So yeah, I mean, it's a huge need. It's overwhelming how much of the need there is.
It's a huge issue too, right?
Yes,
it's going to surpass drug dealing soon.
Yeah, so by 2020 they're estimating that it'll be the largest criminal enterprise in the world. It generates over $150 billion a year. There's, the global slavery index suggests that there's close to 40 million slaves, I mean, right now throughout the world. So globally it's an issue, nationally it's an issue, and locally it's an issue.
Yeah. So how did the idea and the vision come about?
Yeah, so originally it was just it was just going to be a center more so like for women coming from drugs, homelessness, to domestic violence, you name it. We were going to help women. But we were at a conference about a couple months before we actually moved into the building, and that same lady that was talking about how there was such a need for aftercare centers for women coming out of human trafficking, she really kind of spurred our hearts to kind of shift our focus and our mission to just stick with human trafficking. So
you had the idea of opening a center.
Yeah.
What were the next steps into
so,
doing that?
So once we decided we needed to do it on human trafficking, we actually consulted with a few different people, other centers that had run places for human trafficking, and we just tried to learn from them. Okay, if you were to do this here on our campus, because a lot of them are mostly just like homes. There's not very many like apartment like complexes, or our excuse me, our Hope Center used to be a college campus. So for someone to do that, it had never been done before. So we really had to heed to a lot of instruction and really had to get a focus and an idea of how to really do it right. So yeah.
So how did you get involved in the Hope Center?
Yeah, so my dad is the other co-founder with me, and so I always wanted to kind of do some sort of mission work with him, and so one thing kind of led to another, and before I knew it, I was hook, line, and sinker involved. So yeah, it didn't take much.
So do you do a lot of different things, or what's your day-to-day job like?
Yeah, so every day is a little different, like today, of course. But I work with fundraising, with strategic planning. Really, because it's a 25-acre campus and there's over 210,000 square feet, there's a lot of the building we have to develop, a lot of the campus we have to develop and utilize. Okay, what are we going to do with this? And so that's something I'm involved with. Of course, networking, of course, IT and media, and just security. And there's a donor management. It's all over the place, I guess. So there's not really like one thing I guess I'm involved with. So yeah.
So you had the idea, and you were looking for kind of a building, and you found in New Pal this huge, to 25 acres already built.
So my dad was a pastor at a church just down the road a mile, and he had put a succession plan together to start the Hope Center, and he didn't even have like a place that he was like, hey, I would really like to get this building. But as soon as like he handed off the baton, that like next Sunday that building came up for sale, and so it was just kind of like, whoa. This would be perfect, So, yeah, it was just amazing how it all came together, and just the timing of everything just was like really perfect. So
with your absolutely huge campus, what do you do with all that space? I mean, there's a lot more than just dorms, right?
Sure. Yeah, there's 35 offices. There's 3 or 4 classrooms. There's a library. There's a cafeteria. There's a couple barns and a greenhouse. There's all sorts of things. And so what we've decided to do is to look at the campus and say, okay, how can we utilize this to really fundraise and put together job experience for the women that are there? Because that's one of the biggest challenges most places have is getting their foot in the door for for jobs after the women have gone through the program. So we've created a boutique store in the inside so they can learn about all those different things. And then we have a Cup of Hope, which is our coffee shop in the lobby too. And so all these are full-time fundraisers for the Hope Center, but yet they're job experiences for the women that are there. And so another exciting development is the Freedom Barn. And so the Freedom Barn is just a place where, you know, weddings happen in barns more lately than churches, it seems like. So, you know, we have a Freedom Barn, and we're going to utilize that as a fundraising tool. But also the women can be involved in catering, they can be involved with event planning, all that stuff. And so the greenhouse, I mean, we're hoping by March 1st to have that totally up and going, a farmer's market. So, you know, there's all sorts of different things coming together to really help support the mission, but yet to help give these ladies job experience and really set them up for success.
So the boutique's been open the longest, right?
Yeah.
How's that doing?
Okay, I mean, hands down, the boutique is probably the best fundraiser we have. I mean, it's amazing. It's the only place I've heard a husband tell his wife to go shop there. And just because, you know, a vast majority of the proceeds are coming back to the Hope Center, and they have very little cost. I mean, they fall under the nonprofit, so they don't pay business tax. And so, you know, so much of what you spend is coming back directly to help the women. So, yeah, it's amazing. It's, you know, they've taken up almost the entire lobby. So you can't walk in there without being overwhelmed by the boutique and just seeing all the things that they've done. And my sister actually started it, and she's really into fashion, her and her friend, and they've done a tremendous job. Yeah.
So you talked about the future components, like things you're building. Like I know the bridal barn just opened, and the greenhouse has plans. What about the prayer center? I know that's a big plan too.
You know, one of the neat things about the Hope Center is that we've had so many churches come on board to help monthly or one time financially, and we're up to over 65 churches now. So within a year of being open, we've had just an amazing response of churches all over the spectrum. It could be Methodist, Baptist, Presbyterian, I mean, all over the place. They just want to help. They just want to do something to end this issue. So kind of like our gift back to them is creating a 24/7 prayer center where anybody can come and just pray and be involved with praying for the girls, praying for the center, praying for whatever. So
that's so neat.
Yeah.
So I know the Hope Center runs a lot of volunteers. I mean, I've come in to volunteer a couple times. What kind of different projects have people come in and done?
Oh my goodness, you name it, we have it. And we couldn't do it without our volunteers. And it's amazing just to see all the volunteers. In less than a year, we had close to 680 people in our volunteer system. So, you know, it just goes to speak volumes of the community response to wanting to do something and wanting to make a difference about this. So, yeah, when it comes to projects, anything from painting to cleaning to serving, volunteering in the boutique, volunteering in the coffee shop, working, you know, directly in other areas, other departments. If you can think of it, we probably have a need for it. So, yeah.
So the Hope Center is still pretty new, and you have a lot of plans for the future. 5 years from now, what do you see the Hope Center being like?
Gosh, this was the toughest question. Geez, I would like to say, I would love to see the Hope Center create another Hope Center. You know, I think the healthiest component, or really the healthiest sign of an organization, is an organization that can reproduce itself. And so if we can do that in less than 5 years, I'll be really happy.
So if people are more interested in volunteering or getting more information, where do they go for that?
Sure. Well, our website, hopecenterindy.org, you can find out all sorts of information about how to volunteer, how to serve, and all those different things. But really, if you really want to stay up to date, day-to-day basis, our website, or our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, all that stuff is usually the best option. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for talking with us today.
Yes, thank
Hope
you
Center
so
sounds
much.
amazing.
Yes. Thank you for having me.